Great white shark versus Pacific giant octopus. Who would win in a battle? The oceans are home to some of the largest and deadliest animals on the planet. Home to the giant blue whale and deadly creatures like the box jellyfish, the ocean has a plethora of interesting creatures, many of which are still unknown. Two oceanic creatures that have severely interested mankind are sharks and octopuses. Stories of these creatures have led to the creation of monsters and deities all over the world. The great white shark belongs to the lamniphores and is one of the largest predatory fish in the world. This predator remains one of mankind's most feared sharks, both because of inaccurate information and because the great white shark has, indeed, been responsible for a number of attacks, sometimes fatal, on swimmers, surfers, and divers. The giant Pacific octopus, known scientifically as Enteroctopus doflane, is a cephalopod found throughout the Pacific Ocean and is considered the world's largest octopus species. Cephalopod is derived from a Greek word meaning head feet. Scientists have taught these brilliant animals to open jars, mimic other animals, and solve mazes in lab tests. What do they look like? Great whites can grow to be about 15 to 20 feet, 4.6 to 6.1 meters or more, and can weigh more than 5,000 pounds, 2,268 kilograms. Though massive, the great white is not the biggest shark. This classification goes to the whale shark, which is not considered a predatory fish. Great white sharks have large heads with cone-shaped snouts. This shark's body is shaped like a torpedo, making it hydrodynamic so it can move easily through the water. The top half of the shark's skin is grey-colored and the bottom half is white. Sharks have secondary rows of teeth behind the front row. These backup teeth are ready to move into place if a tooth is lost, and the teeth will continue to grow in this conveyor belt fashion. The average giant octopus grows to a length of about 16 feet, 4.8 meters, from the top of its body to the tip of its arms, and weighs between 70 and 110 pounds, 31 to 50 kilograms, making it the world's largest octopus species. It grows to its largest size when living in the North Pacific's colder waters and tends to be smaller when living in warmer waters. The size record is held by a specimen that was 30 feet across, 9.1 meters, and weighed more than 600 pounds, 272 kilograms. Although they are large animals, octopuses can squeeze their bodies to fit through any space larger than its beak. Female giant Pacific octopuses are generally larger than males. The giant Pacific octopus stands are typically a reddish-brown color with massive bulbous heads and a mantle. Each of the octopus's 8 arms has 2 rows of suckers. The mantle houses the octopus's organs, including the kidneys, liver, stomach, gills, reproductive organs, intestine, and brain. Since octopuses are mollusks and don't have outer shells, they use their camouflage abilities to blend into their surroundings and stay safe. It secretes black ink when threatened. Where do they live? Although great white sharks love the coastal areas in all oceans from all over the world, they typically live on the outskirts of shore waters. Sometimes they stray into the deep ocean and are even found in depths of 1,000 meters, 3,280 feet or more. But their preferred water temperature is from 59 degrees Fahrenheit to 75 degrees Fahrenheit, 15 degrees Celsius to 24 degrees Celsius. So most of the time they stay in shallow waters and near the surface. As their name would suggest, this species inhabits the Pacific Ocean. It lives in coastal areas, mostly in seas that are shallower than 330 feet deep. You can find Pacific octopus off the western coast of the United States and Canada, and up along the southern coast of Alaska. They also range across the Bering Strait to northeast Russia, down to China and Japan. These octopuses live in relatively cold waters in the Pacific Ocean. These creatures live on the seafloor and use crevices, rocky outcrops, and other structures as dens. Their dens provide them with a place to hide from predators, and the octopuses can even provide further protection by building walls and covers for their dens. How and what do they hunt? Great white sharks are smart hunters. Generally, they use specific strategies to catch their prey, such as surprising their prey from below. By far, their preferred prey is a seal, but they also seem to like sea lions, some species of dolphins, and select species of whales. The shark can replace its teeth as they break off. Once prey has been seized between these mighty saws, the shark shakes its head in much the same way as a dog, tearing off chunks of meat, which are then swallowed whole. One bite can tear off a 30 pounds, 14 kilograms piece of flesh. This is usually why attacks on humans are fatal. The giant Pacific octopus is a carnivore and eats a wide variety of seafood, including clams, crabs, fish, small sharks, seabirds, and other octopuses. They typically hunt at night, using their tentacles and suckers to restrain their prey. They use their sharp beaks to puncture and tear flesh, and seem to eat any animal within their size range. After eating, the octopus discards its prey's shell, stacking it in a pile outside its den. The stack of shells is known as an octopus's garden. How do they behave? Little is known about the social behavior and natural history of the white shark. There appears to be no apparent social structure. However, there is evidence that some sharks may be territorial and assume dominance hierarchies around feeding areas. White sharks are largely solitary, but some pairs have been seen to travel together and associate for long periods of time. Cephalopods have large, complex brains and well-developed nervous systems with the capacity for long-term memory, learning, tool use, and problem-solving. They also exhibit very distinct individual personality traits. Their intelligence and excellent eyesight can sometimes make them seem quite alien as they observe us observing them. They typically live a solitary life, unless it is the time for reproduction, and are primarily nocturnal creatures, moving around at night to hunt for food. These animals are not at all aggressive and would rarely attack or bite humans unless threatened. Sometimes an individual would spend weeks in a cave, crawling out only when hungry. Who would win a fight between the legendary great white shark and the biggest octopus? In terms of size, it is clear that the shark is much larger and more solid. In this case, for a correct fight, we will have to refer to a huge giant octopus, which will weigh over 440 pounds, 200 kilograms. A typical 100-pound octopus can kill a shark, but no one is as mighty as the fearless great white. The Pacific giant marine octopus camouflages himself nicely against the underwater rock and reef-dwelling plants and life forms. This three-hearted beast is super intelligent, especially compared to sharks, whose immense brain contains about 300 million neurons. The lone shark approaches a reef, lurking around endlessly for the scent of blood. Little does he know A hidden giant octopus is stealthily approaching, seemingly invisible to the shark's poor vision. As the oblivious shark turns its body away from the reef, he's suddenly grabbed by long, thick tentacles. The shark turns to face his attacker. However, if the octopus manages to catch the shark, it will be hard for me to believe that it will let it go. At the same time, it will attack it with its beak packed with an enormity of toxic venom. Saliva in the giant Pacific octopus contains the proteins tyramine and cephalotoxin, which paralyze or kill the prey. I'm not sure if this will work for such a large shark. However, if the octopus manages to paralyze the shark, the fight is over. At the same time, if the octopus doesn't use its intelligence to hide and attack the shark by taking it by surprise, and the shark will be able to bite the octopus, the scales would tip in favor of the shark. I am waiting for your comments to see your opinion. At the same time, you can join the community to vote for this fight. That's all for today. Thank you so much for watching, and please don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell button. Until next time, farewell.